introduced myself in the curtain speech, but I'm Paul Sternbot. I'm the general manager and marketing person, and for this production, the sound design as well. So,
yes.
Thank you for staying here. And of course, I'll introduce our lovely director, Stefan Van. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. And of course, I believe all of you know Tasha.
Everyone. She has her own cheering section. Talkbacks are always sort of interesting. This one's usually a little bit easier because it's such a strange play and then a strange production. I'll give you a little bit of background and then open up. Really, I'm just filling time before the actors come out. That's super.
I was going to say, I wanted to ask, how many people have seen The Skin of Our Teeth before? Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many people have seen Our Town by Thornton? Yeah, so it's plenty more. It's a parallel.
If you've seen, I directed this play 20 years ago, this production, in Los Angeles at a really hip theater company that I really wanted to work with, and I thought they would give me the 30 actors required to do the play. And they said, Jim, I got your couch.
Oh, no.
Yes. And so they said, no, you get 10 actors. And then I pitched it here at the Undermain pre-COVID about a decade ago, and then and they were excited, but we couldn't make it work. And then they called me 18 months ago and said, we remember that pitch. Will you come do the show? And so that's how long I've been working on this play, 20 years. This is the third time we've done it. And each time it's grown, and someone asked me, well, how has it changed? Well, when you direct this play and you have, your wife's pregnant with your first child, you've only been married a short time, the play isn't really about marriage. If you've been married for 25 years now, the play becomes about marriage. That was a great show, by the way. In a great and lovely way, so that's how it's really grown and changed for me. And now that we have the actors out here, I don't even know where to begin. Does anyone have any questions right off the bat? We usually try to softball one to each other, and I think we should just open it up. Any questions you have? Let me just say also, oh, here's Christina. Good. Look, there's a spot.
Yeah, baby.
You guys were the best. Was this the best show you've had?
Phenomenal audience.
Phenomenal.
Best audience.
You got every joke I directed.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful because they were starting to lose hope for a couple of them. So things, but it was really good today.
A couple of people said to me, well, how come this is the best audience? And I said, my guess is they are both literate, as in generally literate, but also biblically literate and classical texts.
Yep.
So the triumvirate is working for us.
Yep.
And so, yes, I mean, I'll beat a joke till it's dead. But I didn't have to tonight.
It was really good. Any questions? It's a talk back, so we're really open to anything you might want to be curious about. Yeah.
Just something that struck me throughout the play. So this was written in what year?
41.
So as I'm watching, I'm like maybe 51, like 61, right? Like not 41. So when you're acting it, is this your impression too, that this play is 10 to 20 years ahead of its time, and its concerns, its critiques, it's what it's trying to do? It's like still during the war, right? It's being written.
He writes Act 3 after Pearl Harbor.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. So this is clearly in the air. We would in rehearsal we would keep track of lines that were way too relevant to the world we live in right now. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some that are just almost exactly the same. You know, so a couple of people where I work asked me about it, and I said, well, it was written in some ways as a response to the rise of fascism in Europe, and then obviously the start of the war in Europe, and then is America going to join or not? And there's a baffling number of lines that you can say now, and they ring true to me. But yeah, like you say, I don't know that, I'm interested, I wish I could go back in time and watch the kind of literary elite of the time have their dinner parties and conversations and see what they were saying, because they must have been.
So when you break character and you talk to the audience and you make references to TCU and SMU and whatnot, what does it say in the play that enables you to do that?
Well, I'll tell you. He gives a clear distinction in the script on kind of when is a good point of reference to kind of riff. And I'll say Stefan really gave us freedom of control of, okay, you can do your own thing here versus have more 1942 references like Pego My Heart and plays like the Bat, which how many people have heard or seen of those, versus some things that are kind of more present in today's time. And so he really allowed me to be silly, goofy Gabby in the little parts that allotted for it to be. And so that was a real great pleasure getting to explore that with the audience.
But there's less than you think. Like a lot of like the breakdown, the actor breakdown in Act 3, there are not that many lines that Thornton Wilder didn't write. Yeah. So we will only do it when he says to do it.
So for Sabina and George, what was the conversation like? Were you part of the conversation, or was it just told to you that that intense scene on the couch was going to end up pantomime? And how did that then change what, I mean, having read the script, how you approached that?
You want to take this away, Jim?
Okay. I think, what was interesting was Stefan introduced the idea of potentially doing this, that it had been, and he was very, open. We were actually rehearsing it as a scene, and then he asked us, what do you think? And at least for me, and Christina said the same thing quickly after that, was like, well, we've kind of seen the regular scene, the way it's been done to that point, and I think doing it that way also seemed to be married to the rest of the things that happen in the show, whether it be putting the house back together or anything like that. And so, in a weird way, I think it helps maybe people actually watch and listen to the scene more than if they would have seen it traditionally, because it's kind of, you've done that, you've seen that, and then I think anyway, I mean, the author does a great job of breaking up the scene before it gets too cliche and too kind of, I don't know, yicky or whatever you want to say. So I don't know, I feel like you watch it more this way, and it's married more to the rest of the play and some of the wonderful, like the hands on the wall and all those crazy things.
And how much more demanding was that? I mean, did you go back and say, let me watch some silent film? I mean, what kind of demands did that make on you to say, I'm acting this differently?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Versus I would say the freedom in the room was really great, and Tasha, our movement coordinator, made it very, very seamless in trying to incorporate the dialogue with the matched mime movement. And the fact that Jim and I have worked together before, and so him and I worked together also outside of this facility, and I'm incredibly comfortable with Jim. Jim's hopefully comfortable with me. I won't speak out of turn, but
you definitely can.
But we have a really great shared connection with one another, and we just make a solid vow before even beginning stuff. It's like, okay, here we go, and off to the movement, off to the races. And so I think it's the tendency, I think with movement specifically, that sometimes actors get caught up in is like, more, I want to do more, I do more here. And when you pare down into stillness and really hold, which I think Stefan was really great at saying, hey, let's simplify. And that made things so much more easier on the eye to actually incorporate the words that were being said and digest them. So,
Seth memorized it,
yes.
and it wasn't working until Seth. I saw so it's slightly different every night, and I think do you guys riff off what he does?
Yeah.
Because I could see him really, literally moving you with his voice. It's gotten so rich So you guys can feel.
Yeah.
There are some
Yes.
times backstage when I forget that they're not speaking.
I know.
And I think it's them saying it. And when she, at the very end, because it's my cue, so I really listen, is, are we going to go, you're a lovely man or whatever, and you're like, of course, oh no, you're a lovely woman, and you go, of course I am. And in my mind, that is not his voice, it's you. And it's not until I come out and I go, oh, that's right. They did that weird thing, that's right.
Yeah.
They did that weird thing.
Yeah.
So much fun to play. So much fun. A joy.
Incredibly effective and memorable, that scene.
Yeah.
You should see us, like, Christina, you gotta help. There's light right here. She's like, okay, no, right, okay. She's like, okay, do it. Any other questions? Things that popped. Okay, I will ask the cast that. This was really good tonight.
Wait,
What
we
popped?
got
We do
one
have
more
one.
back,
Yes.
yes.
I just noticed the relationships between the characters changed throughout the acts. Like in the first act, Sabina, she wanted to leave. She was uncomfortable, but she still wanted. She was very fickle in her position on staying. And then they were kind of rivals, and they almost weren't really a family in the sense that they were in Act 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, astute, very astute. What did you think the journey between Act 1, Sabina, to Act 2 to Act 3, and the journey of finding that in womanhood? I'm gonna throw the question back at you.
I feel like in the beginning she kind of fed off. She just wanted to leave,
Mm-hmm.
and then she left in Act 2, and she wanted to experience the world, but I think in Act 3 she realized that she didn't. She wanted to be home again.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much.
When she says, I don't want to be kissed anymore, it's like that one line, it's like, well, that's war,
Mhm.
right? That's 7 years of war, encapsulated in 6 words.
Yeah.
Don't touch me. I didn't mean that right now, I meant in the play. Sorry. Got a whole nother week to go to play. Sorry.
It is such a beautiful production from top to bottom, from the writing, directing, and the writing being it resonates today, to this moment in time. It's such a fierceness, acting in it, and the different styles of acting. He did break the rules at his time to see theater in a different way, and certainly you're doing the same here, breaking down walls and rules and adding the technology of it, but then back to the simplicity of when we see the makeshift home that then is reconstructed, and we keep reconstructing. That was so emotional to hear these floating homes, to the concreteness of that you feel in terms of your spirits. Just very, very wonderful, very full production.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not so much directly to the production itself, but I happen to, knowing my esteemed brother and so many wonderful actors in here who are so talented and so experienced, I'm thinking of the younger actors and actresses here. I want to know what it was like to work with these geniuses. like it must be, I don't know.
I graduated from UD last May, and so it hasn't been a year for me post-grad yet. And so I'm lucky to return to Undermain. I worked with Christina on Action previous to this one as well, and have been really, really lucky. I feel like I dove headfirstly. A lot of you know UD because we have sisters in here, so UD was so wonderful as far as building a foundation, and so I've been really lucky to return to working with Stefan again. And so it was like a coming home for me, which was kind of cool. And then also getting to bring in all the things I learned at the Undermain previous to this show. It was a sort of great reunion for me. And then obviously, like, look at who's on stage. Oh my goodness. I was super nervous on the first day to work with everybody. And they've been wonderful to get to know and to befriend too. So yeah, I'm excited for what's to come.
Jed?
Okay, I'll try to keep this short. But I actually didn't plan on acting being my career previously, but I was actually Miss Emily Gray's previous student at Dallas College. And she directed the first play I was ever in. And ever since that, there was just a motivation in me to keep throwing myself at theater. And I did that all last year, was trying to do as many shows as I could. And the minute the season for this theater opened up, I auditioned. And I just kind of left it at that, just because you can't, I couldn't get myself too attached to, like, you know, getting hung up on an audition, because, you know, sometimes you're always auditioning and you never know what's going to stick. And so whenever I finally got a call back, I was like, oh, this is so cool, and I show up and I do a reading for it, and I see Emily Gray there, and I was actually reading for Mrs. Antrobus at the time, and it was such a surreal moment that I had the potential to work in a show with my previous teacher and the director of the first play I'd ever done, and so this is really a full circle moment for me. And
sweet.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have to try not to get verklempt. It's really lovely, and Jet really was very green at the beginning of our first show and was remarkable in it. And in fact, I will show off for him. The production went to the Kennedy Center American College Theatre Festival and won Outstanding Ensemble, and he was a major part of it. Pretty exciting, and that was his first show, and I was like, I feel like maybe you should stick at this. I think so. Yeah.
It was great chemistry. I mean, you guys worked together so well. We complimented each other. It was just so enjoyable.
We have a silly list going in the ladies' dressing room of which other classical shows this company could do and who could do what and when.
Do you really?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna do Hay Fever, why not?
I'll come back. So.
I would go to
Seriously,
see
yeah.
any show that this ensemble was in.
Great.
This is the first time I've ever wanted to have a theater company. And I've been making theater for 30 years. And I knew most everyone in the room, or was just a fan of, I just sent emails, like, please come do these shows. And they gelled in a way that doesn't always happen. That you talk about it's gonna happen, and it just happened. And we didn't do much ensemble building. We were like, well, we have 2 weeks and 2 days, let's go. And oh, by the way, it's gonna be weird. And, because none had seen. But you guys are, yes, there's something about this group right here that I would trust this group to do any play. I don't know why, we're just lucky.
Yeah, we were talking outside about this thing breaking the fifth wall.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And so, like breaking the fourth wall is when the character addresses the audience, but here was it's supposed to be the actors themselves addressing the audience. A few questions about that. Was that in Thornton Wilder's direction? It is. Where they address the audience as themselves. How do you think, since you studied the play a lot, how does that tie into the overall theme of what's going on? Like these odd stage directions, how does it help communicate or further whatever Thornton Wilder is trying to tell us?
Father Stephen, do you have an answer?
It's worked really well, because I was just thinking it's so easy to lose the energy of the play the moment you start doing that, and it didn't happen. I read the play recently, and it's a very difficult one to read.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that, you don't quite feel the difference. But I do, although I have intuited the meaning of the play, I don't know how I would explain it, but it seems like, I wonder as actors how you manage that. It's like telling a joke in a homily. You can really ruin it quickly if you're not good at it. You know?
I'm going to build a whole website off of that.
I'll attempt a metaphor, and I've thought about this a lot. Well, not a lot, enough to answer this maybe. Is that it's like a top that has a center that's not even, like the earth, like it wobbles. And this show wobbles. And I felt so bad for the lead, the three characters that had to memorize so much, because our characters are constantly coming in, like pulling the rug out from under them, saying stuff where there's no cue line. We're just talking through their lines, and no center. It's like for them to get grounded the moment there's that satisfying thing in a lot of plays where you're like, oh, the scene is landing, and I feel like Thornton Wilder's like, nope, not yet. But then, like, you know, Stefan talked about Act 3, and Act 3 is when you get to have that, where it gets to like thud or whatever it is. But yeah, it makes me the earth, the wobbling tilt of the earth.
I must say, it didn't occur to me until we did about probably the second or third full run through that the layer is, it's Emily playing an actress who's playing Mrs. Antrobus, who's now broken the fourth wall. And that was weird, because I've broken the fourth wall before in shows as a character, but never as, now I'm not the character anymore. But then I'm also not really Emily either, I'm the actress that I've created who's now playing the play. And then I was like, well, this is, maybe this is a little more complicated in my head. But, you know, yeah, I feel like so I don't know if that works with the play, but I think that works better with this play than it would if you just really, I mean, yes, we make the joke about SMU and TCU and what have you, but, you know, yeah, I think there's another layer in there. Like I say, it's the fifth wall and there's three layers deep.
I don't know why he needs that, the breaking. I don't know why he needs in Act 3 the breakdown and the narcissistic actor stuff.
No.
Except I think he knows intuitively, theatrically, he needed it. Because he needed a sort of like, he needed a laugh moment before he landed the plane.
Yeah, it's the grave diggers before Ophelia.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly what I was going to say.
Just a drop of number.
But I think it's, and so like thematically I can make something up, but I think he just knew intuitively, I need this or else we won't get the ending. It won't land. I also think it's super cool after Matt goes off and then she just goes, George, you're limping. And she's just been speaking in her native accent, and then you're right in the play. There's not one light cue from the moment they stop that scene to restarting it. So it's just them. That's really cool, because you think we did something. We didn't. It's just, so I love, and I think he's also celebrating theater. I mean, I think the reason he does a lot of it is to go, you don't like theater, you watch this, we're gonna make it more theatrical. And that celebration, he loves actors, and he lets them do that so he can then make them do that other thing that they do, like please us and shock us. Any other questions? I think we have time for one more. Pete?
Two parts, so we get time. And one, I mean, for Undermain itself, I mean, it was 10 years ago, kind of started the conversation, and you know, the wobbliness of the world has seemingly gotten a little more wobbly. Why 18 months ago say, I think we need to put this on now? And the second, which will be for all of you, I thought about it, you know, we just read this play together recently, and reading the news feed last night, going, well, how's that gonna play today, after that? So, it's a two-part question for you, if you know, and for the rest of you to weigh in on, was it different today when, you know, there's the sixth wall having been broken? And yes, it's about theater, but it's also about the script that we all seemingly have to play. And are we even free to disagree and stop the madness and get off the train? So.
I can't really speak for Bruce DeVos, who selected this for the season, but I can probably say that you know, when we hit COVID, you know, we had, like, I say we, I wasn't quite as involved in it then, but there was a kind of a list of plays that were kind of in thought, in development. Let's go this way. And so when COVID hit, we kind of had to put all that on hold, and we just kind of ran out of those plays. And so I think Bruce was looking back at, like, what else have we neglected not doing that we should be doing? And, you know, even, you know, in the past, how long has it been since COVID now? 6 years. Yeah, you know, this play has taken on even more urgency in a
Yeah.
sense, and I think that he picked up on that as well. I mean, if I can just guess to Bruce's thinking, which is all I can do these days, but.
Since we've done this show, been in this rehearsal and production, there's been an ice storm and a flood and water. Yeah. So, we were discussing that. Well, I say the boys were discussing it. I got to hear from my husband about what they were discussing. But he was like, we've had the ice storm, we've had the flood. Hopefully not. And that was like the day before, a couple of days ago. And so, yeah, we were like, we hope not.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah. Just art imitating.
Anybody else? Was it different for you today?
I would say that ending for me today was the first thing that popped up into my head. And before that, of course, was all the rest of the junk that we have to hear about we've been following through with, is really poignant to me in the end portion. And so tonight was more reflective. Usually I feel like it lands somewhere different in my body each night. And then today was very thoughtful about what's happening with Iran at the moment. And if we're cognizant and we speak it out loud, then we're doing the due diligence of being human beings on Earth, being aware of the things that are going on in time and space, and us as a whole being in this room right now will never get that moment back, and we'll be holding on to that moment forever. So
I must say, every time I say the lines about women are not in the movies and the books and the plays and the movies and advertisements and that, all of that really lands at the moment for what's happening. And every time I say it and I look at that beautiful young face over there, and I just say, I have to only look for a second because I'm like, well, then now we'll just stop and have a solve and that would be fun. But that has become deeper and deeper and deeper every time, and that wells up every time, and that. I know that's not to do with the current bombing, but all the files and everything, that's been really present for me. And you better be the soul, the only soul you have, it better be right at the bottom of the ocean. It's pretty big. But then, like I say, the war part for me is the baby. And I totally, after Stefan left the production as the director, found a way to get hold of the baby. It wasn't in the blocking. I was like, you'd probably have a hard time holding your baby getting out of there. I should probably take it with me. Because that really has an effect on me as the feeling of surviving a war and there being an infant. And that's, hearing the stories of where bombs are landing and that kind of stuff. It's really, again, I have to play the play, because if I didn't play the play, we'd all have to stop and have a session.
I want to point out that Sienna's doing really beautiful work when she's holding the baby, and I go, where do you get it? She's just doing like the most beautiful acting, and then I'm like, hey, where'd you get that baby? So, kudos.
Crazy that you asked.
I think in the spirit of Thornton Wilder, we took the heavy moment and just had a little bit of fun with it now.
Yeah.
I promise you, when we bring the students here, the line 6s and 7s is going to play different.
Oh, yeah,
that's good.
Oh, yeah.
I've had to get out my script and show people we did not have that.
My sweet students from Dallas College came to the final dress rehearsal as our first audience, just to have some people. We had about 20 of them, and yeah, they were big fans of that moment.
I love that.
I think we should call it.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.